All right, welcome into Victory Monday over here on the Blueprint. I am Jake Butt. He is Devin Gardner. We got a fun one to break down as Michigan took down New Mexico 34-17. DG, Bryce Underwood. How about the stat line here? 21 for 31, 251 yards, one touchdown. Most importantly, in my opinion, no interceptions.
Let's get into exactly what we're here for. Watching the game was really fun just because, you're done, you're sitting down, you're landing in the hotel, you've done your game, and you can just kind of enjoy it. And remember the things that we talked about. We wanted to see not a lot of procedural issues. We wanted to see the ability to just understand what's going on, know what you're doing, how to do it. And we wanted to see Chip Lindsey really help make sure that Bryce Underwood performs well, and he did an outstanding job. He put him in position to make throws. He gave him reads that were simple, but there are other times where Bryce Underwood had to put on his cape and be that talented number one overall recruit, and he was able to do it. It was really, really a joy to watch, and we're going to, a little later, get more in depth into, because that 2-minute drive, when they go to score and then Michigan's going to get this 2-minute drive opportunity, some people were like, oh, man, I can't believe they let them score, all these different things. And I'm just like, I am so glad they scored with that amount of time on the clock. Because as you know, Jake, you can practice 2-minute and all these different things all you want in fall camp and spring ball and practice. It means nothing until you get live reps on how the procedures go, how to make sure you don't take sacks or do different things. And though there were some things that can be improved upon, it was an outstanding showing for a guy it's his first time getting a chance to run a 2-minute drill in a live situation, right? And a lot of people will talk about the talent of the team, and that's a thing. However, a live rep at 2-minute, they got a chance to do that on Saturday, and I'm just telling you, it's going to prove that that's going to be very important when you get to the next games and, next week, the week after, and as the season goes, because you just don't get those live opportunities. And they got them on Saturday.
I thought that was about to be a little freshman on freshman crime because it was Andrew Marsh that took the kick out of the end zone and tried to hurdle somebody, and he fumbled. And that's what led to the score. And once he fumbled, I was like, oh my gosh, like, man, would we have all loved to see Bryce have a chance for the two, but he got it back and made the play. And I think that was my takeaway initially, is the game plan that Chip Lindsey came in with.
It was great.
What I loved about it is early in the game, it was so clear Michigan had an identity again. Like, it was night and day from what we saw last year. And Justice Haynes, my goodness, what a stud. We'll talk about the way Alabama looked later in the show. Boy, their loss, our win. What a stud. Offensive line looked great. And Chip didn't get bored calling runs. Like, Chip didn't say, hey, well, now is the time that I have to prove something. And Bryce didn't get bored handing the ball off. In fact, maybe he did get bored because he threw a block on one of the key touchdowns, and it was great. I almost want to start with that 2-minute drive, though, Dev, because that 3rd and 14, there was like a little bit of uneasiness in the game. All of a sudden, like, here's New Mexico hanging around, and we're like, what's going on? It's 3rd and 14. Are they going to have to punt? And he ripped that throw into a tight window. And it's that play to me, and I'd love to get your thoughts on a quarterback. As a quarterback, that throw was what I wanted to see with Chip, which was to say, when there was a clean picture, when Chip was able to remove half the field and say, Bryce, look at this picture over here. And Bryce saw it. The talent started to shine through because, man, does he throw the ball as pretty as anyone in the Big Ten, shoot, maybe in college football, with accuracy, with tempo, with timing and anticipation. That 3rd and 14 throw out, that's when I was like, wow, this guy really is special, among a number of other plays.
Yeah, the throw was impeccable, but what I want to talk about is during that drive, his resolve and his ability to be unshaken. Like you talk about, Chip Lindsey does a nice job from the beginning of the game, getting him some nice, easy throws, picking up yardage, right, seeing completions, right? I don't think people understand how important it is for a quarterback, whether old or young, to see completions. You got to see completions because then you start to feel good. But when you get to this 2-minute drive, you got to think about this. Yes, they rushed for a ton of yards in the first quarter, right?
Yes.
But there was a spell there where Chip Lindsey, firstly, had to fight against leaning so much into the talent of Bryce Underwood. And like you said, continue to stay with the run game. Continue to not get bored with the run game, even though it wasn't working, right? Off the field, right? Not seeing completions. Maybe Bryce is not seeing the field great, right? And then you get to the 2-minute drive, right? So for not only Bryce, but Chip, they're both in a situation where we really haven't performed well since the first quarter.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're still going, right? That's the first thing, right? The resolve to be able to say we're still going to go, even though we haven't really, because on the broadcast, they're like, how much are you going to trust them? What are you going to do? Right? And so then you start with a screen, normal. That's exactly what you should do. Start with the screen, see what you get. You don't get a lot, right? And then the next time you get a sack, right? And a great job of Bryce Underwood to protect the ball, because it looked like that could have been a sack fumble. He finds a way to protect the ball. He gets tackled, right? What is the one thing you can't do in 2 minutes, Jake?
Take a sack.
Can't take sacks, right? So now you can tell that in the in-helmet, thank you, Michigan football, right? Because you're going to blame Michigan football for the sign stealing. Blame them for getting a chance for your coordinator to talk to your young quarterback all around the country during the 2-minute drill, right? To calm them back down. Hey, you took a sack. Can't do that. But listen, here's the play. I'm going to trust you to go rip this throw. And it was dagger concept, one of my favorite concepts, right? You only got a chance to be in the flat. You didn't get the chance to be the downfield dig. It was always Gallen.
Or I was the clear out. They say for the lover of the game route.
Hey, I need you to run as fast as you can and don't expect the ball.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not going to get it.
For the love of the game route. Just go clear everything out.
Sacrifice. But that's one of my favorite patterns, because you get the guy running straight down the middle, like you said, the sacrifice route, and then you got to dig underneath, and then you got options where if the dig isn't there, you can go to the flat.
But it's a clean picture, right? Like,
and the ability to throw this dig with so much confidence, coming off of a sack, coming off of basically an entire quarter where you haven't really seen a bunch of completions, you haven't really been able to run the football well, the ability to have the resolve, the toughness, the courage,
anticipation, because it was a window. It was in between zone,
absolutely ripped it. And then it's not I ripped it, he fell. It was a little behind, he made a nice catch. It's a perfect, you don't see it often, a perfect throw that allows him, and the appropriate throw that allows him to catch, run, and go get some more. And now you're rolling.
Yeah.
Right? That's the every 2-minute drive needs that kind of big drive play start, like where you get that big play and it's like, okay, we can go.
Yeah.
And then they're able to obviously go down and then get a touchdown. So I want to show some pictures, Jake.
Okay.
Fans through the not through the years. It seems like last year was like 5 years. I swear. Fans, I mean, you wouldn't even believe that we won a national championship just 2 years ago, because last year felt so long. The inability to create open targets with the wide receivers, the inability for the quarterback to make the throws when the targets are there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a big cluster of badness for Michigan fans. However, we got the remedy. Anywhere's 19, right? So let's look at these pictures from last year, right? And both these are man covers, but it's a man match, and it was the theme of the season last year. Take a look at all our yellow pants, Jake. No quarterback can perform under these conditions.
No.
None. No quarterback can perform under these conditions. Everybody near our wide receivers. That's not something that you want to see. Let's move on to the next picture. Again, not a picture. Remember you talked about clear picture?
Yeah.
This is not a clear picture. This is white jerseys all around the blue jerseys.
Yeah.
And that is not what you want to see if you're an older quarterback or a younger quarterback, but especially when you're a young quarterback. Now, let's move on again. Take a look here. You see the space?
That's the dagger right there.
You see, this is the dagger right here, right? So you see the Jake route, the clear out. He never got to be the dig. Sorry about that, Jake. Right? You see the clear out, right? You can see Klein, who will be the flat route, but he's kind of just occupying a lower defender so that the throw doesn't have to be navigated so high above a defender, right? So you can just see how and why. Why are we doing this? Not just what are we doing. You can see it's a clear sacrifice. I'm not getting the ball. I just need to get this safety out of here for, it looks like, Samaj Morgan.
Yeah.
And then Klein, okay, I need to make sure I occupy this lower intermediate defender so that there's space to throw this dig behind me. And then on the dig, you got to make sure that you get vertical and snap it off and create space. Make it clear for the quarterback. So a great job by Chip Lindsey, but a great job by all the wide receivers understanding what they're doing, but more importantly, understanding how to do it. You got space, you can make that throw. So now you give Bryce Underwood the opportunity to show that talent, show that skill, and be a superhero without actually having to wear a cape, if that makes sense, right? This is a superhero level throw.
Yeah.
However, he's not wearing a cape. You got a great pocket there.
Yep.
You got guys open, but every single quarterback in the country cannot make this throw under these conditions after taking a sack, after not performing well for almost the entire second quarter, if that makes sense, right?
Yep.
Let's move on to the next one. Here it goes again, right? So this is more of a man-match type of coverage, which you got too high. They're not rushing a bunch of guys, and you got a cover guy at the top. However, Marlon Klein, he went on an out and up. And this is a design by Chip Lindsey and a great route by the tight end to make this easy for Bryce Underwood. But we've seen opportunities like this, not through the years, last year, where sometimes, it was seldom, but sometimes there were open guys, and those are the times the quarterback was just not able to make the throw.
Yeah.
And then there are other times where the quarterback, it seems like he made a pretty good throw, but there's nowhere to throw the football. Here, you got a perfect marriage of places to throw the football because you can hold Donovan McCulley up down at the bottom of the screen with this football.
Yep.
You can sneak that ball in there to Smaj Morgan. Look at the space right in the middle of the field at about the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And then the only one that's dead is to the top. But then you get Marlon Klein, who runs a magnificent out and up. I remember Jake running some of those out and ups. It looks like you taught him.
Yep.
Outstanding out and up. He shows eyes to the flat, and then he gets vertical up the field. But I want to look at something right here. The ball's out of his hands if you don't know.
Yes.
Marlon Klein hasn't even looked back.
Yes.
Right? That's the anticipatory throw.
Yes.
And when I say anticipatory throw, it means I'm anticipating based off of I know my play. I know where my guys are supposed to be, and I don't have to see his face to throw the ball.
Yep.
Let me say it again. I don't have to see his face to throw the ball. I'm anticipating where he's going to be, and that's what football is all about. And he does an outstanding job there. And so you know what the rest of this story says, right?
Yep.
Marlon Klein catches the touchdown, first touchdown for Bryce Underwood. And it is an amazing sight to see what they were able to do. Chip Lindsey, Bryce Underwood, in concert with the wide receivers and tight ends, outstanding showing by the offense.
I want to add to this. Can we pull those pictures back up, though, and start? So why that's so important? And usually when a guy's coming from high school, you're throwing typically to wide open guys. You don't need to be anticipatory, like Devin says. Look at that safety right below the eye in the end zone. If Bryce is staring him down because he's open, Marlon's going to get hit, or that might be an interception. So the anticipation's key. If we go back to the other slide, the dagger route, the one right before this, look, another great photo. That's Simpson, number 9, coming out of the deck. This ball, what do they say, Devin? Because he's on the 15-yard line. 15-yard line. So 10 would be the 25. 20-yard line would be the 35. We say 18 to 22 yards on the hash for the dagger. That ball is going to be caught 20 yards on the hash. Anticipatory.
Exactly how you draw it up.
And can we go back to the first slide that Devin showed of last year's offense? Look at this is another thing that Bryce did. In credit to the offensive line for giving him protection. Bryce stood tall in the pocket. That's a quarterback that's bailing. Really, that's relatively a clean pocket. It looks like something.
No. I'm gonna tell you right now, Jake. That's a really, that's a great pocket.
You should be stepping up into that, right?
I've been in much less clean pockets.
Yes,
if you know what I mean. So that's a great pocket. But let me tell you, his clock is rolling. And not only, and this is not a bash last year's quarterback deal, but let's talk about why he has to get out, right? Because he gets out and you're thinking, well, it's a good pocket. Why are you doing it? Let me tell you a couple reasons why a quarterback would do that.
Okay.
One, remember in the first episode how I talked about the ability to succeed at quarterback in spite of quarterback coaching, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, Coach Harbaugh does a good job, but he's the head coach. He's the CEO. He can't be in every single meeting making sure the quarterback is doing every single thing right? He has to trust his staff, and I just don't think that the quarterbacks for Michigan were being served in a way that's conducive to their success, the highest level of their success, right? Obviously, successful enough to win 3 Big Ten championships, beat Ohio State 4 times, and win a single national championship. However, I think there was more there.
Yeah.
I think there was more there, and so when you have a quarterback who, first, you have to take the appropriate drop, right? Why do you have to take the appropriate drop, Jake? Well, if you don't take the appropriate drop, when you get to the end of your drop, if it's not long enough, your clock starts. right? So your clock starts 1,000, 2,000, or whatever it is. You have an internal clock as a quarterback to know, I need to get this ball out soon, right? So that's the first thing. You didn't see the video, can't show the video because of copyrights, But he didn't take a proper drop, right? So now the clock has started quicker, right? So without imminent danger, he creates it for himself, right? He starts to create this danger. 2, he sees nobody open, no space, no hope of anybody getting open, right? So a sped up clock accompanied with no guys open, especially whatever you practice in practice. I don't know if this is because I'm sure they were open in practice, but not right now. Those two things working together, it forces you to get out when the pocket is clean.
Right.
So now you're out with the pocket clean, and so now you're just trying to play backyard football. And we didn't have any quarterbacks that were really capable of playing backyard football to those higher levels, even though I can tell you for a fact Bryce Underwood in high school, outstanding in the backyard football play. Obviously, we don't want to see it all the time. However, when you have to have those opportunities, you have to be able to do it, and he's going to be able to make those plays as well. Didn't see a ton of it on Saturday because he didn't need to. Like you said, great protection. However, there are so many different things that go into allowing a quarterback to play on time and do things correctly. And it literally starts when you catch the football with your footwork to make sure that it marries to what's going on down the field, but also marries to how the offensive line is blocking. Is it a quick? Is it a longer protection play? Is it a waggle where you got to move your launch point? Is it a naked? Do you got to capture the edge? So many different things, and I just don't think those details were followed as well a year ago in the quarterback room, and I think that they're going to start to move toward that because from what I've learned about Chip Lindsey, he's similar to Borges where he's anal about it.
Yeah.
He's anal. Do it right. There is no other option. Usually there's another option. One option. Do it right.
Yeah.
That's it. Do it right.
Yeah.
So outstanding job, like I said, by all those guys, Chip Lindsey, Bryce Underwood, and the wide receiving core and tight ends in concert.
Yep. And we're good with the photos there. And I would say, one thing that stood out too, and I think it's what you're saying here with it, which is Chip Lindsey, the marriage between Chip and Bryce unlocks new elements of the offense. And I think it caught the receivers off guard a number of times because there was a few drops in this game. And a lot of those drops were Bryce throwing into tight windows that last year would have been covered.
The ball would have never been thought about being thrown.
Exactly. And that those are throws that very few quarterbacks can make and are certainly willing to make. And I think it caught our receivers and tight ends off guard, which led to drops.
And then there were some off target just a bit, right?
Yes.
Some a little bit high, which you're going to have no matter who the quarterback is, right?
Yep.
There are going to be times. But the thing that you're describing, the more they see those tight window throws being able to be thrown, they're going to catch them and they're going to feel good about it. And then that's going to lend to them being comfortable. We talk about the quarterback being comfortable all the time, but guess what? Tight ends, wide receivers, they want to feel comfort too, right? And their comfort is being able to catch passes. And once you do that, you start to make those plays. So now if the quarterback is a little bit off, you can go get that high ball, get your feet on the ground, go make a play, right? You can you're running left, but it's a little bit behind because the quarterback's dealing with a lot too. You can reach back and make that throw because you felt yourself make all those types of plays and you got real comfort. So everybody growing together, right? This is going to be so cool to watch all season, right? We're going to have all this clear data, all this evidence, and then we're going to see, wait, we remember that. Remember that ball was high? That ball's not high anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when that ball was fit in there and it wasn't caught? Oh, look at him. He's catching it now. He understands what the quarterback is capable of, and now he can make all those plays and also help the young quarterback in situations where he gets in trouble.
Here's what's going to be really fun, too, is now that you have an offense that's completing these concepts like a dagger. Now you can, there's going to be fun opportunities to run dagger pump, or once you start to complete the basics.
Jake, you're getting in the weeds now. The people listening, you're getting in the weeds now.
Now I'm talking, you like that, right? That's dagger pump. That's how you set records throwing to Jeremy Gallen against Indiana is when you can do the basics, then the calculus, the advanced concepts get unlocked and Bryce completes it. And I'll say I want to talk to you about a few more things on offense before we take our first break. Max Bredesen does not miss blocks. I thought seriously it'd be like batting 1,000 in baseball in the run game. Max Bredesen is such an underrated key. Not only does he not miss blocks, but he dominates every single blocking opportunity. I felt the offensive line blocked well in the run game, but to bring it back to Bryce, the tackles, Link looked improved. I'll give him credit. He looks more comfortable on the left side, but there was a few times where there's leaky pass pro by our tackles. It's going to get more challenging throughout the year against better opponents starting this week.
It's going to get more challenging in about 5 days.
Right around the corner. So that, to me, would be my last two standout thoughts of the offense this past weekend. Did you have anything else besides Bryce? We've covered a ton of ground.
Obviously, Haynes, the ability to run the football and to be a home run hitter, to have explosion, that was great to see. The ability to create space, man. Some of those holes, like we talked about, the offensive line had some leakage in the pass game and in the run game. Like I said, from the end of the first quarter to about the fourth, the ability to run the football was a little scarce. We weren't dominating the way that we've seen in that first quarter. I think Justice Haynes had about 100 yards rushing in that first quarter or something close, right? Maybe 100 yards as a team in that first quarter. And I think they only had like 36 or like 38 all the way up until the fourth quarter, and then they exploded again in the fourth. So there's a patch in there where they weren't able to get to the second level, right? That's something that was glaring. Can't get to the second level for a spurt. But the resolve of the football team, right? You're not always going to be able to just dominate everyone. You can't just run the ball 40 times in a row. You got to be able to use your quarterback to make plays, and they were able to do that. And guys, we haven't even seen him in the run game. Right? He's going to be a part of the run game as well, and he's going to be dynamic, and it's going to keep those defenders honest, and it really opened up even more space for our runners.
Man, that's great stuff. And normally I would say if you guys liked that, but I know you guys liked that. Actually, I know you loved it. So since you loved it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to step aside for our first break here on the Blueprint, talk about the defense on the other side. All right, welcome back to the Blueprint. As we told you guys before the break, hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. Feel free to share it with some of your friends.
But Jake, where do they
we don't want to
follow
gatekeep this.
Where do they
follow us on all social platforms? You'll get the short form clips there at the Blueprint UM.
Okay.
X, Instagram, TikTok,
everywhere.
And then Deb, they got to send it to their friends too. We don't want to gatekeep this information.
You're gonna get so much information, like I just talked about in our last segment. It's gonna be so cool growing together, right? Getting a chance to tell you the answer to the test before you have to take it on Saturday. Oh, I'm so excited.
Shouldn't they send it to their Ohio State friends and Michigan State friends too?
Yeah, we're all in
Give them a little preview.
Yeah, show them a little love. They're never gonna make it on the scrolling deal, obviously.
No,
but
no, they would need to pay the big bucks to get on the scrolling deal. That's for sure.
That's when the big bucks start rolling in.
All right, let's talk about the defense, because we were both excited going into the weekend about what this defense would be. Big takeaways. It was a different performance. I mean, there was a few penalties. There was a catch that wasn't a catch. Credit to New Mexico for getting up to the line of scrimmage and being prepared.
Situational football.
Great execution. They had some trick plays, so maybe that skews it a little bit. They came to play, and they wanted to win. What did you think of the defense?
I think it was exactly what we thought it would be. In the inside, dominant, outstanding, and spurts of dominance. And obviously, other football teams have scholarship players, so they're going to make some plays. But up front, outstanding job from the linebackers and defensive linemen. Even the safeties, right? When anytime you need to try to get that ball over their head, they're right there. They're making plays. Where we had our concerns, cornerback. Leaving the game, where do we have our concerns? Quarterback. I mean, not quarterback. I'm sorry, cornerback. Right,
corner.
They are the group that is kind of the black sheep of the family, right? It's like, okay, we know we're going to get from these defensive linemen that are like 7 deep. To add, I forgot to add that. They're 7 deep probably.
It's crazy.
And then the linebacking group where you move guys in, move guys out, nobody misses a beat. The safety group, powerful. They've got 4 deep, right? They've got guys where they trust all those guys.
Especially when Rod comes back too. I can't wait.
That hasn't even happened. That's one of my favorite players.
Yes.
But the cornerback position there is still something to be desired. We saw Barry make some really nice plays. He didn't primarily just play at the corner position, but it was really cool to see that interior be exactly what we thought it would be. But for that cornerback position, there are gonna be times where they're gonna be out there on an island. They're gonna be some man-to-man. They gotta find a way to not draw penalties and make plays in the passing game, because I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to dedicate a bunch of guys to help with the defensive backfield, because this quarterback that they're about to play, he's special.
Yeah.
The ability to hit the home run as a runner, the ability to drive the ball down the field accurately, the ability to, as he's continued to grow, right? Last season, I got a chance to watch him grow after having him early, find the check down. Maybe don't even wait too long, right? Because he's the guy that's so talented, he'll extend plays, but it looks like he's starting to grow into that, hey, the check down is there. I need to take the check down. Because if you remember, last season was his first year starting for the full season, right? So he was growing. He was Bryce Underwood this season, right? Trying to figure out who he is, what he's capable of. And so he's basically running around with his head spinning. Well, he's not running around with his head spinning anymore. He has a great grasp of what his coach is asking of him. It was great that they brought their coordinator over with him, so there's no real other new grace period or growing period that he has to experience. And so the defensive backfield has to find a way to be close to these wide receivers. And they've got some talented ones. And I can tell you, Deion Burks played here in the state of Michigan, actually played at Belleville, the school that Bryce Underwood played at.
Okay.
He wasn't really recruited by Michigan. And I'm just telling you, there's a chip that you have on your shoulder when you, just like how Jake, even if Ohio State does recruit you, if they don't recruit you hard enough, when you go to play Ohio State, you want to catch a seam off of the Q power back shoulder in the end zone. That's what you want to do. You want to dominate them. And so you're going to get some motivated football players coming in, not coming in Ann Arbor, but coming into the football game. And so when they watch the film, they're going to say, we have an opportunity to attack, but we have to get the ball out because those rushers and the ability of that defense is dangerous. And remember, I talked about Barham and his ability as a rusher as a freshman when I saw him at Maryland. They had him on the edge. And when we saw him on the edge, he was scary. He's a scary, scary football player.
He's one of the best pressure linebackers in college football.
He is a scary football player on that edge. It's so funny because he wears number 1, so it kind of looks weird when he gets on the edge. But he looks like a defensive end when he lines up over there.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't look like it's a linebacker. It's not remember Devin Bush, right? He looked like a linebacker, but he was a really good rusher. He looked like a linebacker that just went and stood on the edge. This guy, when he leaves the middle, he looks like a defensive end, a world-class defensive end about to rush the passer, and he got to the quarterback. And he won't be able to play in the first half. And I know you have some thoughts about that. So let's move toward what are your thoughts about Barham and his obviously in years ago, that's an amazing football play, and he'll be just fine moving forward. But in today's game, as much as it's people say it's soft or whatever, you have to protect the prize possession, which is the quarterback. And honestly, in my opinion, I cannot believe the referee didn't throw the flag right away. Like, do you not know the rules? Like, it's a defenseless player. He destroyed him.
Yeah.
Hits him in the head, so it is a penalty, but I love the aggression. I love how he plays, but what do you think about not only that play, but the rule in general to continue to kick kids out when the malicious intent is clearly not there?
Yeah. Well, first, I would just talk about Barham, too, is he's almost like Derek Moore. Like they almost have the same body type, which is crazy to say. A linebacker with that athleticism is built like a defensive end. And then when you're pass rushing, it's your ability to get to like a half man. So once he gets on that outside edge of the tackle, his strength, he just powers right through him, and that allows him to get home. But that rule, I get it why it's in place. Okay, like we have to protect the players, especially the quarterbacks. Like that, you are defenseless. But we have to be able to separate malicious intent. And I know you talk to officials in the booth pregame. They will even tell you that it's hard to call, and targeting is the most inconsistently called penalty. So if it's inconsistent, why are we then removing guys from a game and then suspending them from a half the next week? There's nothing about that hit that should say Barham should be suspended for a half. I mean, I would understand a suspension if this was a repeat offender, if there was clear malicious intent. That was a physical hit. Let's call it what it was, a physical hit.
And you got to think he's a giant. Okay. The quarterback's not very big, right? He's down, but as he's down, he's still on his head,
Yeah. Now, I'm sure they will appeal. And let's just hope, as we're recording this right now, we haven't found out the verdict. So hopefully he can they'll win the verdict and he'll be back. But I trust the depth there. I mean, I know they're really high on Roeder and Sullivan as well, but Barham's a different level. So let's
the one thing you don't want to do is make Barham mad. So if he sits out that first half, he is going to be very upset.
Yeah.
So I don't feel I do not envy the players that he's going to get a chance to play against in the second half if the ruling is upheld.
I want to, you talk about next week with the quarterback Mateer and his relationship with his play caller. I want to talk about our play caller and Wink Martindale because, it took a while last year for Michigan's defense to get settled in. I think early in the season, we're like, what's going on? And then you think about the way they finished against Alabama and Ohio State, and it's like, Wink, he's not going to empty the playbook early. Well, this year he's going to need to possibly at least empty the playbook on the road against Oklahoma. And I wonder what he does to help that secondary. Brandon Hillman at safety, Devin.
He's got an attitude, man.
He looks like he could be on like the classic Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That guy hits with bad
He looks
intentions.
like a guy that wouldn't wear gloves or wristbands or anything. Just come out and play football. He looks like a guy that like tapes his knuckles.
Yes. So so you have the Barham hit, you have Brandon Hillman, you have Houseman flying around. This defense,
Houseman, and I talked so glowingly about him in the last episode, but he is everything you want to be. And you can see his attitude. Like when they were allowing them to complete plays, it kind of sometimes felt like fluky plays, but they did make those plays. And shout out to the quarterback for that other team. I felt his pain.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy. And you know me, I've been hit quite a bit. Michigan State, 2013, a lot. I've never seen a man get hit so much.
Man.
I mean, I still not going to do it. I'm just telling you. I still not going to do it. He needs a new body.
Yeah.
He needs a new body, new limbs. But he continued to get up. And that a defense respects you when you do that, right? So he earned Michigan's respect, I'm for sure. But Houseman's ability to run sideline to sideline, get everybody lined up, just so impressive to watch him continue to work. He looks like he's gotten a little bigger, but kept his speed. It was really cool to watch him be everything we thought he would be.
I journaled, as I was watching the game, I was taking some notes and I was like, man, this defense has bad intentions. Like they're not just trying to hit you. They're trying to put fear into your psyche. And I thought about my senior year, 2016, our defense had some of that too. And in our first 5 weeks, I think we saw 8 quarterbacks because that defense knocked out 5 starting quarterbacks and like 2 or 3 backups.
Yeah.
I get the same feeling. And Wink told us that he says the defensive line they don't have a Mason Graham or a Kenneth Grant of like top 10, top 15 picks, but they have a bunch of bullies and bouncers. And I felt like you saw that show up in this game. And
100%.
Man, that travels. That goes on the road and travels.
That attitude,
and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I want to see that against a really good competition, right? And so moving on to OU. So for their offense, we've talked about John Mateer and the issues he'll present with their wide receiving core versus our defensive backfield. But up front, I'm really looking forward to see how it shakes out, right? Because both teams play lesser competition. You understand you're going to be able to dominate, right? So getting a chance to see that depth, right? Are we going to miss those top 15 talents, or will the bully mentality and the ability to have great depth and continue to run fresh guys in? Because what people don't understand is offensive line, they don't get to switch. So when they get tired, that's a new guy coming in. He's fresh, and he's about to run at you with greater intensity than the guy before, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how the depth allows for the back end to have some help, right? Because they're going to need it. They're going to need some help with these wide receivers they're going to face. And then for the defense of Oklahoma, obviously, as you know, as I know, you've never played quarterback, but you played tight end. I know you remember playing Bowling Green, and I know you remember playing Penn State. 2 totally different games, right? It's moving a lot slower. Your launch point of how you need to block as a tight end, it's a little different. Guys aren't moving as much. Running routes, it's just easier to get open, different things like that, right? So we understand that, obviously, Bryce Underwood played exemplary. He was amazing in the game. But moving forward, I think the onus is still on Chip Lindsey, because with this better competition, I'm just telling you right now what you're going to see. You're not going to see free access allowed to the boundary to throw easy hitch routes and get those easy completions. You're not going to see the ability to just throw the bubble and get 10 yards because the safety hasn't rolled down to run aggressively to make the play on the pass catcher. So you're going to see a lot more resistance. And it's not going to be just because they're more talented, right? It's going to be because the structure of the defense is going to have more resistance, clouding the boundary, clouding the field, rolling rotation, right? In the game that we saw on Saturday, there were so many stagnant defensive players, right? Didn't really move, not a lot of disguise, and that's what you move into as you move up the levels of football in this country. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chip Lindsey continues to keep Bryce Underwood kind of in that box and allow him to come out when he needs to and then put him back in that box, right? Run the football, easy throws, bubble screen, this, that. Back in the box. Oh, what? We need you. We need you to be that guy. Open the box. 3rd and 14. Okay, now get back in to make sure you continue to preserve his confidence and allow him to continue to throw with conviction, because some of the throws he was making in those tight windows, not all of them were throws that you want to see, but the confidence and the ability to make them, right? The confidence and the ability to make them. You have to try things, right? I don't want to see my quarterback throw 0 interceptions on the year because he never even attempted to throw into a tight window. I love that a young quarterback comes in and is loose, ready to roll. I'm throwing it. And if it works, it works. You live with it. You move on to the next play. And the hope is that you don't get into trouble with interceptions and things like that. Obviously, when they watch the film, they're going to go, hey, maybe don't do this. I love that you can do it. Maybe don't do that. Okay, hey, as we move forward, it's going to get a lot faster. That could be an interception, right? Just to caution him, but you do not want to take the stinger out of the B, right? And that's saying, a lot of people, we heard it all the time, but taking the stinger out of the B is dead. Right, you don't want to take his stinger away, but you definitely want to control. Right, hey, you can't sting everybody. Everything can't be the greatest play that's ever made. You got to sometimes give the ball to the back. Sometimes take that sack. Right, as much as you don't want to do those things are things that you sometimes have to do, and some of those opportunities are going to present themselves in the game on Saturday.
Yeah, your margin for error gets condensed in these types of games. And, we said it earlier in the show, there was some drops by the wide receivers. You can't have that in this game. You have got to help your quarterback. He's going to throw it, and he's going to put it in a place. His ball placement, you said this was outstanding. So they got to make these plays. And, you said this earlier too. We didn't see Bryce run. Mm-hmm. So Oklahoma's defense, they're not going to give you free access. They're going to be in great coverage positions. That's where Bryce's legs come alive. On the flip side, Mateer likes to move around. He leaves the pocket. That's where I think the bad intentions of this defense, man, if you get popped once, twice, 3 times, that's where, that really affected the game last year against Ohio State. Will Howard ran it early in the game, and Makari Page lit him up. I think that the bad intentions of the defense can help sway things in Michigan's favor. But, man, this is going to be a revealing game on the road against Oklahoma.
Word. That's a great revealing is what it's going to be for both teams.
Yes. Both teams feel the same, don't they? It was a down year for Michigan. It was a down year for Oklahoma. Both get new quarterbacks. Yeah. What can this season be?
New quarterbacks, not only new quarterbacks, new coordinators that they believe in. Obviously, Arbuckle for OU that was with Mateer at Washington State, and then obviously Chip Lindsey for us. The trust that these teams have in their their quarterback and their offensive coordinator is really totally different from what you were able to see a year ago on both team. So it's really cool to see how it's going to go, because you got Wink Martindale, but on the other side, you got a pretty good defensive defensive coordinator, but defensive head coach, where his fingerprints are going to be all over what they're doing defensively, right? So it is going to be a battle for the ages, and we get it in week 2, Jake.
It's great.
It's great. In week 2.
It's amazing.
We get the chance to see exactly who we are in week 2. And I just want to caution everyone. If Michigan goes out and doesn't have a great showing, that is not cause for an alarm. Now, we'll show you all the concerns. We'll talk about the different things that need to happen to make sure that moving forward, this is a non-conference game, and this is just a measuring stick to see exactly who Michigan is. But I'm just telling you, it's a great start.
Yeah.
It's a great start.
Yeah. And that's why we say, hey, not just I would even say this, Devin, I'm going to just keep adding it. Not just subscribe. Turn on notifications, because you're going to want to see this breakdown early next week.
No, see, you got to take it to another level. I know it's episode 3. I know it's early. Let's take it to another level. How about make 2 more Instagrams, right? 2 more YouTubes, and then subscribe from those 2. How about that?
That's what we're talking about.
Now, and then is that a little more work, right? You got to make a new email, all these different things. Yes, it's more work. But we're putting in the work for you. So let's make
it's a team effort.
It's a team. We got to work together.
And it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it too. There we go. So subscribe, turn on notifications, then make another account and do the same. And if you're feeling frisky, make a third account and do the same.
There you go.
And we'll see you guys next week. But we're not done with the show. We're going to step aside for one final break. We're going to go around college football, a slate of great games this past weekend. We'll give you some of our takeaways, including what we saw Texas against Ohio State. All right, welcome back to the Blueprint. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. It's going to be a great season. And now that we're done breaking down Michigan, a little light preview on Oklahoma this weekend.
Very light.
Go around the college football landscape. Let's start Texas, Ohio State, big time matchup in the horseshoe. We were wondering how they do. I have Ohio State's game this weekend, Devin. I'll keep it real light. So I did a breakdown. I got to give credit where it's due. Matt Patricia, their defensive coordinator, he won the chess match. He dominated Steve Sarkisian for Texas, dominated Arch Manning. The Buckeye defense really was the storyline of the day, in my opinion. So we'll give them credit. I will say this, like, there's rivalries, Ohio State, Michigan, obviously, but I think we also have a rivalry, Big Ten, SEC. The cope that's coming from ESPN about the SEC after this weekend is beyond me. I cannot possibly grasp it. But what were your takeaways from Texas, Ohio State?
One of my takeaways was Paul Feinbaum has to answer for all being so wrong.
He has to answer.
He said, "Come on, Florida State's going to get blown out by Alabama." Obviously, that doesn't happen. Arch Manning is going to be the best quarterback he's ever seen since Tim Tebow. Very wrong on that. And it was another take he had where he was just absolutely wrong. He said Texas was going to dominate Ohio State as well. Yeah. So that's 3 misses. And in baseball, 3 strikes, you're out. Now, he's obviously not out, but he has to say something. He has to say something, very much something about what he said. Now, I knew Arch would struggle once I saw his first throw miss, right? So it was kind of like a sprint out to the right. It's perfect for a right-handed quarterback. He has a guy down the field open and not far down the field, wide open, and he's going to score. There's no question. The kid is going to score, and he skips it off the ground. I said the moment may be a little too big, right? So watching Arch in the interviews and different things like that, people were saying he was aura farming, which I just learned this term. Aura farming means that you maybe don't have the aura just yet, but you're like putting it out there as if you have the aura. Now, if you prove to have the aura, it's technically not aura farming, but if you don't have it, then it's aura farming, and that means that you're just trying hard, right? And so people were saying
breakdown. That's what you get on this show too. Great breakdown.
You got to learn the terminology of the young people, right? So so they said he was aura farming, and so like he said, we don't really have a target on our back. The red dot is on everybody else. I said, oh, that's a bar. Oh my goodness, Arch. And then the one reporter, hey, are you nervous? He's like, yeah, in the hotel I'm a little anxious or whatever, but when I get in the game, it's go time. And then he even went as far as to say, hey, do you get nervous? I said, hold on now. Hey. And then you get in the game. And Matt Patricia, like you talked about, completely had his number from the start. But it wasn't just Matt Patricia. Sarkisian and Manning helped. They really helped him by missing throws like that. Because if you make that throw on your first throw and go score a touchdown, things are different, right? They're like, oh, my goodness. And your confidence is different. But skipping that throw early, the confidence of a quarterback is so important no matter what your last name is, right? So if you get out here, you've worked so hard, you've done so well, you've been in practice, you've aura farmed, you've done all these things, and in your first throw, you see a guy wide open, a throw you made going back to when you were 10 years old, and you skip it off the ground in this arena, the confidence dips, and you could see it was clear. I had never seen Arch Manning throw the way he threw in that game. Never seen it. Right. And so I have to know, I've been in that situation where you completely lose your confidence. Right. So I hope for him moving forward that he'll get that confidence back. They'll understand how to make sure he gets it back in the game if he might lose it. But I think that was the biggest story. You go from Heisman favorite to one of the worst starts from a quarterback where you've anticipated them to be great. And I think that he has a good amount of work to do on being able to stay in the moment and be confident throughout the entire game, because some of the stuff was just, I've never seen Arch do this. This is not Arch. This is some other person that's taken on the form of Arch, and that's what happens. That's what it feels like when you lose your confidence.
Yeah, the SEC bias is just insane to me. How anyone could say Arch is the number one pick, Heisman favorite, best quarterback we've seen since Tim Tebow, based on what?
That would be that would be like if we say, because because Bryce Underwood played good against, I flushed it already. Who they even play?
New Mexico. Yeah.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
Because he played well against New Mexico, he's going to be the number one pick in the draft. Like, that's not how football works. There's levels to this, right? And so for Arch Manning, you played against some lower competition and you look good. In my opinion, it wasn't great. It was kind of like the Bryce Underwood deal. Like, oh, you played really well against who you played. Yes. But we all know when you played this sport, there are levels, and you got to get to those levels. You can't just skip steps, and they skip steps for Arch, and so it put a lot of pressure on him, I believe. And I hope that he can now move to obscurity. Yeah, move to obscurity and kind of get away from all the expectations of winning a Heisman when you haven't really gotten a chance to even know what it feels like to play college football at that high level.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it with the SEC parade here. FSU Alabama. What happened, Devin? Give me the break. What happened?
Man, listen. You know what happened? Confidence happened, right? While we just talked about Arch and his ability to recapture his confidence early, Castellanos, yes. However you say it, we're going to learn it very soon. Yep. He, throughout the entire offseason, that's the opposite. That's the antithesis of aura farming, right? We thought it might have been. We thought Arch was. I thought it wasn't aura farming, and for him, I'm like, that might be a bit of aura farming. I love to use new words that you learn. Yes, I thought that might have been a little of aura farming, and his quote was, "Oh, they don't have Nick Saban to save them. He said, I love the ambiguity a little bit. He said he didn't say they're not going to be able to stop me. Yeah, that's arrogance. Yep. He said, I just don't see them being able to stop me. That's confidence. Yeah. And that's a different kind of confidence. And when I tell you, he rolled out there and put it on full display, and then he ate W's. A little shout out, a little homage. Great. Right? That was great. A little homage to our guy Jameis Winston. Yeah. It was great. And I'm not like a guy that hates the SEC. I do hate that they just slot them in for national championship every single year. Yeah. However, man, that was cool to watch. A guy call his shot, similar to J.J. McCarthy. He came into Michigan. He said, we're going to win national championship. We're going to beat Ohio State. Never lost to Ohio State. Won a national championship. Won Big Ten championships. When you call your shot, when you Babe Ruth it, and you knock it out of the park, you got me as a fan for the rest of the season.
I wonder if he saw he probably turned on the Michigan-Alabama bowl game tape and said, wait a second, this is not the same Alabama.
If they did that, I can do that.
Yes. Michigan's defense was aura farming back there, but I'm concerned for Bama because they have completely lost the plot. They've lost the identity. That doesn't look like
they're doing too many TikToks, Jake. Let's just call it what it is, man. Too many TikToks. If I look you weren't there when we played Bama in 2012. I'm just telling you, it was different.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't. Xavier Dixon was not making TikToks.
Yeah. It was.
They got to stop it. And if I'm a coach, coaches, look at me. Look at me. No more allowing your team just to do TikToks all willy-nilly in your building.
Yeah.
Period. Or keep allowing it and you'll get bullied.
Yep. There's like an inverse correlation. The more TikToks your team's doing, the worse off you're going to be. Now, all right, let's give them a final bow here, okay? Also, last night, Miami beat Notre Dame. CJ Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, he's going to be special. Challenging game for Notre Dame's offense. Miami beat them, but the last big game of the weekend, LSU-Clemson, hard-fought game there on Saturday night. So the SEC did win one. They did win one of the big games this weekend. Anything?
Garrett Nussmeier. Remember Garrett? Remember little Garrett?
Yes.
And now he's a man. Yeah. He was just little Garrett running around, at the facility with Coach Nuss. And now he is grown man, Garrett Nussmeier, now probably the leader in the Heisman. It's so cool to watch, man. Are we old, Jake?
That's what it felt like. Yeah, we were texting. God. I was texting some Shane Morris and these guys. I'm like, wow, wait a second. Garrett was in elementary school, middle school when we were playing. And now he's
throwing touchdowns.
Heisman, first round pick. Yeah.
Ugh.
So, all right, well, the big game this weekend is our guys, Michigan, Oklahoma. I don't know. Do you want to do a score prediction? What's your thoughts? Put a bow on the episode with that.
I think Michigan is going to be obviously in the game. They're going to do a lot of good things, and I think it's going to bode very well for us in the future, especially in the Big Ten. But I think that Oklahoma may be a little bit further along, and I think it's going to be a tough match. I think it'll be 24-17. sadly, Oklahoma might get the victory.
Okay. It's gonna be a toss-up. I mean, you could see it. I can see it going either way. I think the line is like 2.5, which is just credit. Vegas is basically saying Oklahoma's got home field advantage.
Yeah.
I'll say special teams play a big factor, and I really trust Michigan's. I'm going to pick Michigan 21-17 on the road. I think special teams will need to be key. Chip Lindsey, let's see it, baby.
Let's
Love
go.
what we saw week
Come
one.
on, Chip.
Let's see it.
Come on, Chip. Come on,
give
Chip.
Bryce. Just give Bryce the tools because he has all the gifts. He has all the tools and the gifts.
I think even win or lose, I think we're going to see some star power from Bryce Underwood. I don't think he's going to press. I think that the game will continue to be close the entire time. He may make a mistake or two, but I don't think he's going to flinch. And I think that's going to move. That's going to prove very, very cool for what we want to see from Michigan and the Michigan football team.
And we'll need you, Wink Martindale, to have a great game. And
Wink, we need you, Wink.
We need you. It's going to be a fun one.
We need you, Wink. Wink, don't blink. Come on.
You can bet on it. To our viewers, to our listeners, we will be breaking down that game early next week. We'll get Devin's thoughts on Bryce's performance. We'll talk about everything. So we'll remind you one more time. We shouldn't need to remind you anymore. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. This is The Blueprint. He's Devin Gardner. I'm Jake Butt. We will see you next week.